Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to allow us to provide a brief introduction on SSE Renewables, and we look forward to meeting the attendees throughout the day. My name is David Patterson, and I'm a Procurement and Commercial Manager within SSE Renewables, and specifically within the offshore team. Today we're going to look at an overview of the offshore wind development projects, SSE, some supply chain opportunities, and becoming part of SSE Renewables supply chain as well. So moving on to the first slide, there's some high-level information here on SSE and some information that people might not know. So SSE is a homegrown Scottish company. We have our headquarters in Perth. We're currently aiming to treble our renewable energy output to 30 terawatt hours by 2030. This will make a significant contribution to the UK and Scotland's net zero climate change targets. We've worked hard over the last decade to develop Scottish supply chain and create local jobs on our renewable projects, and we'll continue to work to create real value for communities as well. The challenge of reaching net zero for the UK and Ireland over the next 30 years is upon us now, and we're ready to build on that experience and to deliver the offshore wind which is required for us to get there. SSE is committed to invest over £7 billion in major low-carbon construction projects to net zero and spur the green economy as well. This is the equivalent of circa £4 million investment every day for the next 5 years. This is just SSE's input into the projects, and we're not taking into account some of the projects that we're within a joint venture with as well. We take our role in society really seriously as well, and this can be seen from the fair tax charter that we have. We're also a living wage employer, and also our contributions to the community benefit as well. Moving on to the next slide here. The Great British offshore wind market is the largest globally and will remain so, with the UK government aiming to deliver 40 gigawatts by 2030, and the UK Committee on Climate Change identifying the need for at least 75 gigawatt by 2050 to meet the overall net zero targets. Ireland is also an emerging market for offshore wind with huge potential. The Irish government is targeting 3.5 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030. We believe we're in a really good market position in the GB and Ireland with proven capabilities and significant pipeline of offshore wind projects as well. You'll see from the map there some locations of our existing developments, and I'll go into detail out some of the successful projects as well. So we're really proud of our success in the UK's last Contracts for Difference allocation round, where we secured 2 projects, Dogger Bank and Seagreen. On Dogger Bank, there are 3 projects at 1.2 gigawatts, and that's totaling 3.6 gigawatts in size. Seagreen achieved a 454 megawatt contract, and that contributes towards the 1075 megawatt of the phase 1 project. Also to highlight, Seagreen and Viking specifically went through investment decisions in June this year, which was obviously in the middle of the current COVID pandemic. We think that's a really good achievement for these projects given the current COVID restrictions. SSE has the largest development pipework in the UK and Ireland. The potential developments are circa worth 25 billion, and that's just again SSE's element. For small and medium enterprises, you can imagine the size of the market you're going to look at, and if you combine all the developers and all the projects within the UK together, it's a huge element to look at. You can see from the table below the map as well the current projects in construction and some of our development stage projects as well, and this highlights the pipeline that's available. Moving on to the next slide here, I just really wanted to highlight some alternative opportunities within the supply chain as well. I suppose when you think of a wind farm, you immediately think of turbines, cables, substations, etc. Really big engineering contracts, but I also wanted to highlight that even though those elements are definitely required, we also require some smaller contracts as well, which may be more specific to SMEs and future projects. This slide was really to highlight the different elements that are still required and have a bit of a light shone on them as well, because they're often not maybe focused on because perhaps the value as well. but it just shows the range of elements that are required when building a wind farm. Offshore wind farms are now built with a lifespan of beyond 25 years, and with SSE being an owner and an operator of the assets, there's opportunities that will continue throughout the lifetime of the project as well, and that's during the operation and maintenance phase. Often costs of maintaining wind farms is similar to the value of construction, and that's not often focused on. So when you think about it, there's a really exciting potential there for tier 2 and 3 contractors to be involved with projects going forward, and that's over a 25-year period. Moving on to the next slide, and that's becoming part of SSE Renewables supply chain. So some key elements to look at, and I'll run through the bullet points here as well. So first here is just obviously to register as a potential supplier. Got some details in the next slide how you can do that, but this allows us to identify you for any future opportunities and make you aware when these opportunities are available as well. Also to be compliant, so ensure you're compliant with health and safety and quality. Those elements are always top of the list at SSE, where we have a safety first policy, and also maybe compliance with specific training requirements as well. In terms of assessing and promoting your capabilities, just wanted to highlight to be clear in the descriptions that you offer in terms of the services. So moving on to assess and promote your capabilities. So just to highlight here to be clear in the terms of the description and the services that you offer, what your track record is. It may be very little in terms of renewables, but perhaps extensive within oil and gas. So please include everything, because there's potential to utilise those transferable skills, and also don't dismiss experience that you don't think is valid. I would include everything that you can put in there. In terms of support available as well, I just wanted to call out a couple of supports that have initiatives that are available. So in terms of our Catapults Fit for Offshore programme and the Offshore Wind Growth Partnership as well, these support the suppliers, and we encourage you to use these forums. They'll help to develop you, and also hopefully help to develop the supply chain and the offshore renewables as well. And finally there, just be competitive. So perhaps what we're saying here in terms of have attractive pricing, be competitive. The cheapest price isn't always the one that perhaps we progress with. It's all about total cost perspective, and also the quality of the services that are offering as well, and we just wanted to highlight that. In terms of the final kind of bullet point there, in terms of innovation and collaboration as well, and that's really to develop new ideas that we could use within our projects. So this doesn't have to be something totally out of the box. It may be an innovation that reduces risk or improves safety on the site, or a method of work that's used in perhaps another industry. It's something that to highlight, and it's a key item kind of moving forward for us as well. Just moving on to the final slide here, and this is where you can register with SSE. So I've put a link in there in terms of potential suppliers, and that'll allow you direct access to the site. I've also highlighted they're open for business as well. So open for business is quite an interesting concept. It was a portal that was originally set up in 2012 by SSE to link supply chain firms with large SSE construction projects. So in just over 5 years, it led to circa 174 million in contracts to local businesses. It contributed directly to economic well-being and sustained development of many communities across that region as well. In addition, the platform had 1,500 suppliers registered, with 750 opportunities being advertised by SSE or their Tier 1 contractors who also bought into the initiative. The portal's now run by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, and we utilise the platform on the majority of our Scottish projects. There's potential also to post opportunities on that website, and we also encourage our suppliers to utilise it as well. As a portal, it's really user-friendly and simple to use. It allows buyers to create and post opportunities, and then extract that information and take it into their own procurement process. So we would encourage you to register on Open for Business as well. And finally, just to highlight there, the energy and utility skills section as well. SSE encourages its suppliers to sign up to the Energy and Utility Skills Accord. The Skills Accord is designed to promote and lock in sustained investment in the technical and operational skills via procurement practices. Signatories gain recognition for their strategic commitment to invest in employees' skills and also employees' development as well. There's more details about all of these items in the potential suppliers link there that's for SSE. So thank you for your time and for listening. We hope to speak to you throughout the day, and thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to the Inchcape offshore wind farm slot at the Fife Meet the Buyer event. We're delighted to be representing a project that we're very proud of today. My name is Adam Izamal. I'm the project director for Inchcape, and I'm joined today by my colleague Gary Lake, who is the commercial manager for the project. I'll begin by introducing the project and giving a brief update. I'll then hand over to Gary, who will talk about supply chain opportunities and how to become part of the supply chain in more detail. So firstly, what is Inchcape? Inchcape is a large offshore wind farm currently in the development phase, planned to be installed 15 kilometres off the Angus coast. So we're somewhere between Arbroath and Montrose and a moderate distance offshore in offshore wind terms. The water depth at the site is moderate, between 45 and 55 metres. And the project will be connected to the grid in East Lothian at Cockenzie via an 85-kilometre cable route back to shore. In order to capture as much of the wind as possible, the project actually occupies quite a vast area of seabed, so approximately 150 kilometres squared, which is equivalent in size to the Orkney island of Hoy. And in terms of the capacity of the project, with up to 72 wind turbines, we'll be able to generate at peak capacity in excess of 1 gigawatt. And that is equivalent in terms of generation, will be on average 4 terawatt hours per year, which is sufficient to power in excess of 1 million households. So this is one of Scotland's largest infrastructure projects of any description, not just in the renewable energy field. We're at the moment in the development phase, so we are refining our project, we're optimizing it, making it as efficient as possible in order to attain a successful financial investment decision at the end of 2022, with a view to deploying later on this decade. So that means at the moment, we are in a process of continual improvements and continual optimizations. What we've been doing is assessing the numerous advances in technologies. Offshore wind is now a maturing industry, but it's still developing very quickly. And in order to be at the vanguard of that, we really have to grab opportunities in technology advancement as and when they arise. It's absolutely critical for us to work together with the supply chain. That's historically how improvements in the industry have been made, and we very much wish to carry that forward. So we'll be driving cost optimization through not just with a view to the construction phase, but with a view to the operation and maintenance phase also. And we'll be adapting our procurement strategy accordingly. So far, the results have been very encouraging. We've, in the last year, increased the capacity of the project by 50%, improved the efficiency of the project by more than 30%, and reduced the levelized cost of energy, or the cost of the power, by 20%. Now, we're not going to rest on our laurels, and we want to continue this story of optimization and improvement going forward. So in a nutshell, our mission is to create the UK's most efficient offshore wind farm, and we really would be very keen to welcome any suppliers who want to come and join us on that journey. In terms of how we're going to deliver that, it's very important for us to find a balance between quality, innovation and cost. We want to implement a cost-efficient focus with some ruthlessness, actually, in all our supply and service agreements. The only thing we don't compromise on is safety, and we actually believe by designing and building a safe project, we will have a more efficient project and a greater chance of securing investment. Now, although we are a big project in the renewable energy sector, We're conscious of the fact that we do have a carbon footprint associated with our activities, both in terms of the construction phase and in operations. And again, we believe that by seeking to minimise and offset that where possible, we will realise benefits for the project. We are lucky in that we have the freedom to deploy a lean and flexible organisation, and that means we're very adaptable and very open-minded to new ideas and new ways of doing things. And we warmly welcome any innovations and any ideas that our suppliers might have. So that is a brief introduction to the Inchcape project. And I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Gary Lake, who will talk about supply chain opportunities in more detail.
Thank you, Adam. Hello there, everyone. My name is Gary Lake. I'm the Project Commercial Manager for the Inchcape project. So I'll be talking through what the supply chain opportunities are for working with our project. So firstly, it's worth setting out our procurement vision, which is to deliver the most commercially outstanding project by working in partnership with the local and global supply chain. So we're fully committed to making Inchcape realise its full potential and to deliver the best possible project for all stakeholders involved. And to do this, it is vital that we work with the best possible suppliers in the supply chain. So here's an overview of our procurement strategy. So we are only as strong as our supply chain, so having the right people on board is vital when delivering the project. And to do that in the short term, we've adopted a multi-contract approach, which allows suppliers of all sizes and all services to become directly involved in the project from an early stage. This will enable a direct engagement with suppliers, and which allows the opportunity for ideas and development to be taken through during the course of the delivery programme of the project. So we have a very strong focus on local content, and we are very keen on hearing from local suppliers who can bring something to the project and those that we can work closely with to improve what they can offer and to help them grow during the course of the development of the project. Of course, we're also interested in the wider global supply chain and the experience that can bring to the delivery of the project. So our focus will be to have suppliers that we can collaborate with and work with to deliver the best possible version of the project, and those that bring ideas and innovation which will help us continuously improve all aspects of the project, so that will ultimately be the benefit of everyone involved in the project, from ourselves and the suppliers and our stakeholders. Of course, it's very important as well that we strive to have the minimal possible environmental impact during the course of implementing and delivering the project. So we're very focused on that as well. So what are the supply chain opportunities within the project? So we've divided the project into 4 main areas of supply, which is the wind turbines, the electrical transmission system, and the supply of cables, the foundations and substructures, and the operations and maintenance side of things. So as I've just been describing, at the moment we're taking very much a multi-contract approach, and the idea of this is that it enables suppliers of all sizes and all tiers to come directly engage with us during the development of the project, so that there is that opportunity to get involved rather than having to rely on a smaller range of tier 1 contractors for you to gain access to the project. So we're looking for that direct engagement early in the process, and we're very keen to hear your ideas and to get you involved in the development of the project. So in terms of an individual contract level, there are a very wide range of opportunities for contractors and suppliers to get involved in the project on each project, each package. So for example, on the wind turbine, we are looking for areas such as supply of davit cranes, navigational aids, marshalling facilities, installation, fabrication, lifting equipment, rigging, site services, etc. On the electrical transmission cable side, we'll have to develop and construct 2 substations onshore and offshore. So in order to do that, we will need a large number of services, from site enabling works, horizontal directional drilling, substation materials and labour, cable installation, telecoms, support services, etc. On the foundations and substructures side, we'll need support in the supply and fabrication of these foundations, but also in their installation, a number of support activities such as the installation of grout, marshalling facilities, scour protection, UXO surveying, boulder removal and clearance, and guard vessels, etc. On the operation and maintenance, which is the longer term support of the project, we will need areas such as ports, support vessels, maintenance personnel, spares, consumables and asset management services for the duration of the life of the operation of the project. So how do you become involved with Inchcape? So firstly, just want to touch on the sort of suppliers that we're really looking to work with going forward. So we're really looking for suppliers that are specialists in their own area, that are focused on their own particular skill and service, and are leaders in their field where possible. So we're looking for suppliers who continuously push themselves to improve their efficiency, improve the quality of their service and the cost base behind the product or service that they offer. So we're looking for suppliers that are willing to develop and optimize themselves over time and work closely with us in that process. We're also looking for suppliers who share our own values, which is this passion for renewable energy and a determination to tackle climate change is very important issues. So what would it be like to work with Inchcape going forward? Well, we are one of the newer developers, so we are smaller and a leaner team at this point in time, which does mean that you get more direct access to decision makers, which enables you to get involved with the project more directly and have a much better chance of being able to interact with those who make the decisions, and will be able to get you involved with the construction of the project. So we're very committed to having a mutually beneficial approach for not just ourselves, but our suppliers, but our stakeholders more widely. So initially, we would like to discuss with you what your skills, what your capabilities are, what you can bring to the project, in particular your ideas and innovation. So we will respect your intellectual property, but at the same time, we can offer your support in the development of these ideas and in bringing them to market. So once we're working together, we will hopefully drive each other to continuously improve and to overcome any challenges that we might face during the development and construction of the project. So ultimately, the project and supplier market will benefit from the ideas and innovation that we can develop together in the longer term. So we will continue to challenge each other on the way we do things, on our processes, our solutions, and our attitudes to the project. And together we can deliver a low carbon energy generation project successfully. So how do you go about joining us on this journey to deliver the Inchcape project? Well, firstly, please go to our website and you can find some links in there on how to get in contact with us. And following on from that, we'll be able to offer you a one-to-one session. So where you'll be able to initially describe to us what your products and services are, what you can bring to the project, and also what your ideas and innovation are that you perhaps would like to develop in collaboration with the project team. So at these discussions, you'll be able to meet the relevant commercial and technical personnel who will be able to discuss and understand and take forward these ideas. So following up from that, we'll discuss in more detail how you get involved in the project through our various request for information, request proposal stages. So we very much look forward to meeting some new suppliers and hearing some new ideas, and to working together with you in taking forward the Inchcape project to a successful development and construction. So thank you very much.
Welcome, and thanks to all of our panelists for joining today. I'd like to reintroduce you to David Patterson and Ed McCluskey of SSE Renewables, Gary Lake, Adam Esmal, and Nikki Keddy from Inchcape. And I'm Jennifer Payne. I'm a development officer for the Supplier Development Programme, and I've stepped in for Dot Smith of Fife Economic Development. There is a poll that will be live throughout the session, so please answer this whenever you feel that you can. If any of the questions that you submit to the panel about their presentations are unable to be answered, we will feedback post the event is over. So please ensure that your name is included with each question so we can come back to you after the poll, the Q&A is finished. Thank you for your patience, and I'll just start reading out the questions. If you can start submitting them, then the panel would be happy to answer. So the first question that we've received is from Tony. He's asking, hi, does the Inchcape project have a substantial onshore cable run?
I can take that one, Jennifer. The Inchcape project is actually quite unusual in the sense that it doesn't have a significant onshore cable run, just a couple of 100 meters actually, because the grid connection is so close to the landfall of the cable.
Thank you. So the next question that has come in is from Patrick. Thank you for this interactive session today. Oh, I've just lost the actual live Q&A. Let's just hang on 1 second here. Oh, there it is. It's just come back. So this question is from Patrick. I have a question from SSE and Inchcape. Are there provisions in place for a suite of weather stations to be incorporated to each wind farm for gathering data on wind speed, wind direction, rainfall, temperature, and humidity? Many thanks.
Okay, Jennifer, in responding on behalf of Inchcape, we already have installed offshore a number of years ago a meteorological mast, which is still operational to this day, measuring wind speeds, temperatures, etc. That's something we've already deployed.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Can I just ask you all, while we're waiting for more questions to come in, and please do type in your Q&A question on the right-hand side of your panel. Can I ask the whole panel, please, where you, just to reiterate, where you advertise your opportunities for subcontractors? Can we ask David Patterson first?
Yeah, that's from the presentation at the very last slide. You'll see there is a link to potential suppliers for SSE. So if you go to that link, you can register yourself as a supplier on that. It allows us to have opportunity to have a visual of who the suppliers are and how we can get in contact with them. We've also highlighted as well as opportunity to try and get our T1s to use that as a portal as well. So those are the kind of two areas best to log into and register as well.
And Gary, can I ask you to answer that as well, please? Where do you normally advertise your opportunities for subcontracts?
Sure, yeah. So obviously we have an online presence, so we have websites for both Inchcape and Red Rock generally. So it's always good to go on there, and it's a useful portal to be able to register yourself as a supplier. But we're taking part in a large number of events like this as well, and as much as possible on a sort of meet the buyer, to try and get local suppliers who aren't necessarily on our radar to come forward, so that we can you can introduce ourselves to us and we can sort of open up that dialogue. So we're very much keen that we'll carry on with this sort of event and be able to attract that sort of attention and have those discussions.
Perfect. Thanks so much for answering that. We've had a question come in from Ryan. He's asking, thank you to all the speakers so far for your presentations. They've been very informative. My question relates to both parties. My question is, will there be an opportunity to supply small tools, plant, and temporary power? So do we want to go to Inchcape first for that one, please?
Sure, yeah, I can answer that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, there will be the opportunities for all sorts of supply for the project during construction. Now, a lot of these things will be contracted directly by our main contractors who will carry out the construction of the project. But part of the exercise, these sort of events, is that we want to be able to gather a good database of suppliers that we can share with those contractors and make sure that and encourage that they are going to the local market and that they're that full awareness of who's out there who can support them. So in the short term, come to us, register with us, and we'll make sure that you end up on that supplier list with the relevant suppliers when the time comes as well to go out to market for those sort of requirements. But obviously we will need those things during the construction phase.
Thank you. And David, did you want to take it, or for SSE?
Jennifer, I'll jump in.
Thanks, Ed.
Seems David's struggling a bit with his internet signal. Yes, I mean, I can't add much more to what Gary said. Again, likewise, register with us with SSE. the details are on David's presentation, and also engage with the contractors, the tier ones and the like. And I would also recommend that you look to the local hubs, offshore wind growth partnership as well, and just make as many inquiries as you possibly can. Yep.
That's
there
really
are there
so.
are opportunities. Absolutely, yes.
So one of the greatest things is that they can stop by your exhibitions today and speak to you today, but then to also register separately according to the presentations and information. So we have another question from Jill. She's asking, what COVID-19 impact was on your operations for supply chain requirements for COVID? Who wants to go first? Ed, do you want to just continue on? What the impact of COVID-19 was on your supply chain requirements? Have we lost Ed?
Oh, sorry, Jennifer. Yep, I was struggling a bit there. Yes, I mean it obviously has an impact in terms of how we undertake work at present now, because there are guidelines that you need to follow, and health and safety is first and foremost in everyone's mind. In terms of the supply chain, there is no real effect on our procurement at all. In fact, if anything, we're ramping up, but we are living in a new world, as everyone appreciates. So it's learning to work with COVID, but work in a safe manner.
Thanks for that. Does someone who wants to take the question from Red Rock there? Sorry, Inchcape.
Sure, I can take that if you like. Yeah, I think because of the stage of the development the project's at, it's not had a significant impact. I think obviously it's forced us to do these sort of events online, which is good that everyone adapt and do that. Obviously, we're missing the opportunities to go and visit suppliers' facilities and be able to do those sort of in-person visits and audits. But in the short term, it's not had a significant impact because we've been able to adapt. Hopefully, there's not going to be a longer term impact, and we'll be able to get back out there on the road and visit people properly going forward.
That's great. So this question is from Richard. He's asking to all, do you have a policy for main and subcontractors regarding paying the real living wage? Now, the Living Wage Week Scotland is next week, so I think this is quite topical and something really important to cover during a Meet the Buyer event here in Fife. So Ed, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure. Yes, we do. That's something we advocate, and we are also inserting in all contracts modern slavery clauses, so that everyone's compliant with the Modern Slavery Act. So yes, again, the living wage clause is something that's very close to our heart. So it's paying people properly for the work that they actually undertake and paying them on time as well.
Great. And is it outlined in that for Inchcape, Nikki?
I believe that we're looking at that just now and making sure that all our contracts are up to date. So that's as much as I can say just now.
Okay, that's great. I think that sorry, Nikki, go ahead.
No, just very similar to what Ed was saying.
Yeah, it's obviously part of the procurement strategy for Scottish Government to promote the real living wage and the living wage and good employment practices throughout the supply chain. So each individual contractor usually has something in place. So it's great to hear that everybody's looking at it and that it's on everyone's radar, especially for next week's Living Wage Week. And so there's another question from Jill, and I'm just going to encourage everyone to continue to ask your questions on the right-hand side of your panel. we have about 10 minutes or 11 minutes left in this Q&A session, but if we don't get to everything, then we'll definitely come back to you. So please do continue to submit your questions on the right-hand side and use your full name so that if we don't get to your question, we can come back to you after the session. So Jill's question is, are there any guidance documents available for suppliers from each individual company? So you talked in your presentations a little bit about different things. And so if you could maybe talk about any guidance that you can actually find as like PDFs or Word documents and where you might find those. David's back, so maybe would David like to take it or would Edward like to take it?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. In terms of where to information, again, apologies, the links that we've provided, you'll see them in the stand in terms of exhibition stand, in terms of the links, and also at the end of the presentation as well, and that will be in the potential suppliers area of our SSE website. So that's the best place to go for that kind of information.
Okay, great. And Adam, Adam, would you like to take that one?
I think I'll ask Gary to answer that one on behalf of Inchcape, please.
I think Gary has dropped off. It might just be.
I can answer it if you like.
Oh, thanks, Nikki.
In terms of guidance, if you visit our stand, we actually have a brochure that's there that's downloadable, and that gives you guidance about how you can get in contact with us. And as part of a discussion when we do one-to-ones and you become one of our suppliers, we would give you more information at that time. Yeah.
And just to say that the Supplier Development Programme has lots of free training for Scottish-based SMEs and supported businesses. And so if you come along to our training, which is all free by webinar, then we can help you with any questions that you might have about that guidance and maybe help with some top tips and things on tendering for some of these subcontracting opportunities. So there's another question from Ekaterina, which is, are there any special requirements for digital projects procurement? And that's a question for all the companies. So Adam, can you maybe go first?
Yeah, we don't have any specific requirements at this stage, and if we do develop them in the coming months, then we will keep our potential suppliers informed of them.
Okay, Adam, is it worth still registering with you even if you don't have a current requirement?
It's absolutely worth registering with us, yes, and visiting our website at inchcapewind.co.uk will point you in the right direction. And also, please visit our stand over the course of the day if you want further details on that.
Great. And Ed, David, same question over to you.
Yeah, in terms of the digital question, I don't actually know that one. But what I would encourage you to do again is just register at the portal. Also, perhaps visit our stand later on this afternoon. That might be worthwhile, just so we can have a one-to-one chat and get a bit more information about what you're actually looking for as well.
That's great. So the the questions have been coming in kind of steady, but I'm just going to remind everyone, if you could just enter your questions over in the right-hand panel, right-hand side of the panel, with your full name, any other questions you might have. This is your chance to get your burning questions answered, and then follow up on each exhibition stand. So anything about the presentations, anything about supply chain opportunities, everything's very welcome. So we have another question. Do any of the companies issue quick quotes, such as like direct to suppliers on PCS? So Adam, do you do any quick quotes? No, quick quote is under 50K usually. Do you do anything through PCS on quick quote?
We don't at this present time, no.
Okay. David, how about you?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that one. I can take that question offline if you perhaps share the information of the person that's asked that question. I can come back to you on it.
Sure, no problem. So I know that Fife Council procurement was on earlier, and many of the 32 local authorities do run quick quotes, and other public sector organizations run quick quotes under 50,000 in value. And the Supplier Development Program runs a course. Several of our course touches on quick quotes. So if you're looking for any more information, then please just do sign up for training. And we have a course called Quick Quotes Made Easy, so you can understand more about the process and more about how to get invited to those if you're a supplier. So I think that we have about 5 minutes left. Were there any thing that you didn't cover in your presentations that maybe you wanted to just reiterate, or that were really important points of that you want to say to suppliers that are here at Meet the Buyer Fife today?
I think, Jennifer, I'd like to emphasise the importance to Inchcape of innovation and innovative ways and new ways of doing things. And also, we're very keen to hear from companies that are perhaps looking to transition into renewables from the oil and gas sector, as well as moving from onshore wind to offshore wind. So I'd just like to invite anybody who would like to take that step with us and present us with innovation. We see it as a very mutually beneficial conversation that we could have. So please pass by our stand and register yourselves as a potential supplier with us.
Thanks so much, Adam. How about you, David? Do you have anything else that from your presentation that you'd like to just re-emphasize, a really important point for suppliers attending in Fife, especially local suppliers to Fife?
Yeah, I'd probably reiterate that in terms of innovation. I kind of highlighted that part in my presentation as well, just in terms of transitioning companies. I kind of highlighted as well that when you are registering, include all your experience. You may not think it's applicable to offshore renewables, but if you give us a kind of well-rounded view of what it actually does and what works you can complete, if you can provide us with all that information, that would be good. And also just keep up communications as well. So through coming to our stand today and also attending any Meet the Buyers that we've got, keep up communications, probably one of the key things as well. So keep in contact with us.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the biggest things from COVID is that more companies are looking to diversify into other areas. And so looking at that and how it could maybe be applied to some of the opportunities that you both have coming up is really important at this point, isn't it? So we have had another question come in from James. Do any of the panelists do anything with Legionella prevention within domestic and industrial water systems? Ed, do you want to start there?
I would encourage James to come to our stand and send us details. I don't know the answer to that precisely offhand, but if he comes and gives me the details, I can find out and get back to him.
Yeah, from our perspective, Jennifer, that's very much something that would be of interest to our sub-suppliers. So there have been issues with Legionella on ships that service the offshore wind industry. So that's where I would encourage that particular inquiry to go.
Perfect. So I think that is all the questions that have been submitted so far. And if anybody has one final question, I think we have time for just one final one. So if you want to submit a question, just please do so on the right-hand side panel. It's the live Q&A panel. And I just wanted to, on behalf of Fife Council and the Supplier Development Program, which are bringing you this this Meet the Buyer event in a virtual format this year. I just wanted to thank everyone on the panel and everyone who's come along today to take the time to engage with the suppliers and listen to these presentations and ask the questions. It's hopefully proving to be of value to everyone. We all wish it were a little bit different and that we were meeting face to face in Fife today, but we're really delighted that everyone's trying their best and doing their buy-in and taking the time to engage with suppliers. So thank you to everyone on the panel today. I think that we're just about out of time. So thanks very much to everyone.